Tonight, Republicans gather for their third presidential debate, and with 2 weeks from the Fox Business hosting the next debate, there's a chance we'll learn more about how they would fix the economy. This is what I want to see them outline. I've got four narratives. First, we need more details from the outsiders. Donald Trump, I'd love to learn how sending 11 million illegals out the country would jumpstart this economy. Also, want to hear more about repatriation. Last night, Apple said they've got $206 billion. Most of it's offshore. We would love to see that money back here. Ben Carson, you've been promoting your health care plan that would replace Obamacare, Medicare, and Medicaid. It would be simple and less costly. Would it work? We would love that. Of course, the governors. It's time for governors to think and speak outside of the box. Get away from your typical Trump speeches, your old school textbook approach to getting elected. It ain't working. You got to speak on a grander scale. Third, the senators. I think it's time for the senators to try and make a move. Waiting for the so-called novice to implode, it's not going to work. Not only are your polls saying it's time to get in gear, but so are your deep-pocketed backers. And finally, all the candidates need to articulate individual prosperity. Every single person must be able to connect the dots to the individual. What happens to my wallet in light of your economic plans? By the way, what also happens to my physical safety and my personal freedoms? I guess the personal attacks, I guess they're probably going to happen, but we want to know what we're going to get in return for our votes. Forget about the slogans. Making money starts right now. Joining me now, Tammy Bruce, Fox News political contributor, Gina Loudon, conservative columnist, and Christopher Bedford, senior editor for the Daily Caller. All right, Gina, I want to start with you. Number three, everyone's hoping for more details, more nuance, particularly when it comes to the economy. What do you expect?
I do expect that they'll go into more details. And one of the details I hope they'll do, I hope they'll take one page out of the Democrat playbook. And that is because I know that conservatives generally don't like to play the race wars, but I hope they'll spell out how illegal immigration is truly a war on black youth and their economic prosperity. I hope that they'll spell that out because I think that would do a lot to kind of abolish the other side's arguments on that.
I love what you're saying there, Gina. By the way, it's not just that. It's the giving away freebies and paying people not to work. And a lot of people don't want to go beneath the surface on that as well. Here's the thing, Christopher. We've been hoping and looking for this kind of details, these nuances. We keep thinking that's going to happen. I would suspect tonight, though, would be the night. Certainly on the Fox Business debate, it's going to happen. But what do you think about tonight?
I think they're going to have to nail them down on a couple of these things. Where they're up there for 2 hours just talking about business. And a couple of the people I think I really expect to shine tonight are going to be Donald Trump, who, well, he's not necessarily going to go in all the details that people would like. He's going to talk business. He's a successful businessman. He's had 7 years of I'm a good businessman ads playing through this Apprentice TV show all the time. So Americans are going to really want to hear what he has to say. And also Rubio and Bush, those two are very good on policy. They're good speakers. They're eloquent. And Bush in particular is going to have a record with Florida that he can talk to about connecting the economy.
Bush is like number 5 in his home state. He's drifting like crazy. His backers are dropping out. He's trimmed this. What will he say tonight that he hasn't said before? I don't get why all of a sudden this guy's going to be so eloquent and articulate.
Well, that's a good thing to watch for. Bush is the candidate who's going to make or break tonight, I think, of anyone who's going to see a huge difference. He's fallen behind Rubio. He's fallen behind Trump. He's fallen behind Ben Carson. And if he can't convey his economic message, which is supposed to be a core thing of his campaign, if he can't get that out tonight and show the Bush that won governor in Florida, then his backers are going to start fleeing to Rubio, fleeing to Cruz, fleeing anywhere but him, I think.
All right, Tammy. The three outsiders, including Carly Fiorina, still garnering anywhere between 55 to 65% of the vote, depending on what poll you use. But Carly has sort of drifted here since the last debate. What do you think?
Well, I think it comes down once again to attention. Media has not paid her much attention.
Has she done anything attention-worthy?
Well, she's not calling people names. You know, she's running a campaign with some dignity, so maybe that doesn't get a lot of attention these days. But remember, obviously, she's won both previous debates. People should remember that. We're looking here, though, at the same time with all three of the outsiders. All of them have big ideas. We know all of them have, certainly Trump and Fiorina, business backgrounds. Details will be key. Fiorina's given them. Trump just, less than a week ago, told a young man entrepreneur that he wants people to vote for him simply because his name is Trump. People do want more details. People understand business. We are small business owners. And saying you've got to trust me because of what my name is won't fly. This is an opportunity for Mr. Trump. But really, Carly Fiorina the arenas always come back and around from where people don't expect her to come, and expect her to be very, very good tonight.
I mean, we can't forget she began this whole debate process at the so-called kiddie table.
That's right.
And she worked herself into the mix here. Gina, Donald Trump, do you suspect that what will he do different tonight? I don't think that he's actually necessarily won any of the debates. I don't think he's lost them. But the debate setting has not necessarily been his strength.
If Donald Trump plays it right, he won't do much different, because what he's done in the past has worked so well for him. I would say, though, that he's a little more polished. I'm seeing a little more presidential side to him, Charles. And I could see him with less personal pot shots, but still coming out very hard-hitting, very strong, and even with some audacious statements to make sure he dominates the news cycle in the next 24 hours tonight.
Chris, you see something similar to that? Will we talk more about the audacious statements, or will we say, hey, so-and-so actually convinced me my life will be better? Or will they be the same?
Donald Trump hasn't really changed much, as anyone would expect, but I agree. He's definitely shown he's more polished. I think that Carly is going to have to look out for him because, I mean, Mitt Romney, a very successful businessman, was torn apart on layoffs for companies that succeeded. She has 30,000 layoffs at a company that really hit some hard times. She's going to have to be really ready for people like Donald Trump to turn around and really hit her for that. I think he's going to be largely in the attack. It's worked for him so far. There's no reason to change.
Although we have to admit, Donald Trump, though, recently, to the point made here earlier, taking a more humble approach these days. Of course, after dropping into second place in a whole lot of polls in Iowa, he actually pleaded with the Iowans for help. And the Des Moines Register actually went so far as to have this headline: Donald Trump not too proud to beg.
In most polls, I'm number one. Now, until Iowa came along, I said every poll. And then Iowa, what the hell are you people doing to me? Iowa, will you get your numbers up, please? Will you get these numbers up? I promise you, I will do such a good job.
All right, so Tammy, you heard Donald Trump, you heard Chris and Gina both saying probably less personal attacks, but can he resist it? I think he might find it irresistible.
Well, I find that comment that he just made, though, at that rally quite telling. We like the outsiders because we're sick and tired of politicians having everything be about them. Suddenly you have a rally, and one of the outsiders who is saying, it's got to be about me. I want you to work for me. This got to get my numbers up. This is for me. That's an interesting message that I don't know if even his supporters necessarily, once they realize what it is, appreciate, because this really should be about the persuasion of people about what you're going to do for them, not the other way around. So he's going to have to find some balance and decide if he's going to take seriously the need to persuade the American people.
But Gina, another way to read that, Gina, is that Donald Trump is saying, listen, guys, I'm the only one here who can really, really get this done, and there's just no other way to put it to you except a direct play, put me in office.
And he has a background that pretty much proves that. There are things that Donald Trump can explain about business that nobody else on that stage is going to be able to explain. But I do hear what Tammy's saying, but I think another way that maybe Trump supporters might look at it is this is so untraditional in the realm of politics. We have never heard a candidate say something like what Donald Trump said. Hey, I need you guys, help me out here. I think that is the refreshing part of Donald Trump that those who don't support him just don't get, and those who do support him can't help but see in everything that he does.
You know, Gina, go ahead, Tammy. I'll let you reply.
I just think that, yeah, we believe we know Donald Trump's background, but he really must give us some details. There's a point now, we're in our third debate. Maybe it'll be in the Fox Business debate where we get the details, but he's really got to give us some details other than, I'm Trump, do it for me.
You know what I did like, though? Go ahead, Gina, I'm sorry.
He has outlined most of that, Tammy, on his website. He's done position papers that are very well in depth on his illegal immigration policy, which I think is the best thing for this country, on his Second Amendment policy. I mean, the guy has taken some pretty hardcore positions in those.
Well, here's the thing, Chris, even beyond the detail thing, I like what I'm seeing with Donald Trump. I liked in the second debate when he gave, I think he gave Jeb Bush a pound. He laughed at a joke that Ben Carson said. I personally want to see that part of him. That's the New York salesman kind of part that I understand, that I get. I've worked with people like that. My first boss on Wall Street was like that, and these are people who are ultimately very, very successful. And I think that's the intangible that gets you elected. I think it's the intangible that got George Bush elected, Bill Clinton elected. It's hard to quantify, but it's real.
It's absolutely real. He's a very charming guy. He's entertaining. Even the people who dislike him like to watch him on television. He's a professional. He's been doing it for years. But to all your points, even when you think he's saying something, he's not really. Like when he kind of accused George W. Bush of being responsible for 9/11. He would say things like, I don't know. I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying he isn't. But I'm just saying these two things happened. Or when they said, would your immigration policy have fixed that? He said, hey, my immigration policy wasn't in place, so I don't know. Why don't you tell me? You read my policy. He never actually answers any questions, but you feel like you're sitting at a bar with him. If he doesn't drink, but if he did, you feel like you're sitting there at a bar with him, enjoying a conversation with one of your friends who's maybe a little wily.
That in of itself is a masterful skill. Hey, thanks a lot, guys. By the way, you do not want to miss the Fox Business Republican presidential debate. The GOP hopefuls are going to face off in less than 2 weeks right here, Tuesday, November 10th. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be fantastic. And look at that panel. We're going to grill those guys. We'll get answers for you. Hey, a New York Daily News columnist attacked Sheriff David Clarke for denying the existence of police brutality and racism in the United States. Sheriff Clarke is here to respond. Next.